Welcome back to the Mr. Duo podcast. Today we're going to talk about something simple, but very powerful: silence and self-focus.
That's right. And we're going to explore it through questions and answers, just like a real conversation. So let's begin.
Aaron, why do we always worry about what people think about us?
That's a great question. I think it's because we naturally want to be accepted. Humans are social beings, so we care about belonging.
That makes sense, but sometimes it feels like everyone is watching us all the time.
Yes, but that's mostly in our heads. In reality, people are usually busy thinking about themselves, not us.
So we imagine a spotlight on us, but it's not really there.
Exactly. And when you realize that, you feel free.
So how does silence help when we feel judged?
Silence helps because it stops you from over explaining. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you take your power back.
That's interesting. So instead of reacting, you just stay calm.
Yes, silence gives you space to think clearly instead of reacting emotionally.
I like that. It feels more peaceful. Some people think silence means weakness. What do you think?
I think it's the opposite. Silence actually shows strength
Really? How?
because it takes control to stay quiet when you want to react. Anyone can shout or argue, but not everyone can stay calm.
So silence is self-control?
Exactly. It shows confidence and maturity.
I sometimes feel awkward when things get quiet. Why does that happen?
That's very common. Silence can feel uncomfortable because we're used to constant noise, talking, phones, social media.
So we're not used to being alone with our thoughts.
Yes, but once you get comfortable with silence, it becomes very powerful.
I guess it helps you understand yourself better.
Exactly.
You mentioned that silence protects energy. Can you explain that?
Sure. Think about people who always complain or argue. Talking to them can make you feel tired, right?
Yes, very tired.
That's because they drain your energy. But when you choose silence, you avoid unnecessary conversations.
So you save your energy for important things.
Exactly. Silence helps you focus on what really matters.
What about arguments? Should we always stay silent?
Not always, but sometimes silence is the best response.
Why?
Because arguments need reaction to continue. If you don't react, the argument often stops.
So silence can end drama?
Yes, it's like removing fuel from a fire.
Let's talk about goals. Should we tell people about our plans?
Not always. Sometimes it's better to keep your goals private.
Why is that?
Because when you talk too much about your plans, you lose energy. Also, not everyone will support you.
That's true. Some people might discourage you.
Exactly. That's why it's better to work quietly and let your results speak.
What changes when you start focusing on yourself?
Everything changes. You stop comparing yourself to others and start improving your own life.
That sounds peaceful.
It is. You feel more confident and less stressed.
So self-focus brings inner peace?
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes when I try to grow, people say, "You've changed." Why does that happen?
Because change makes people uncomfortable. They are used to the old version of you.
So they want you to stay the same.
Yes, but growth means change, and that's a good thing.
So we shouldn't feel guilty about changing.
Not at all. It's part of life.
How does silence support personal growth?
Silence gives you time to think, reflect, and understand yourself better.
So it's like a space for self-improvement.
Exactly. Without noise, you can hear your own thoughts clearly.
That's powerful. Can silence actually improve relationships?
Yes, it can.
How?
When you listen more and speak less, you understand others better.
So silence helps you become a better listener.
Exactly. And good listening builds strong relationships.
What do you think is the biggest benefit of silence?
Peace.
Just one word?
Yes, silence brings peace to your mind, your emotions, and your life.
I love that. So today we learned that silence is not weakness, it's strength.
And focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's necessary.
Silence helps us avoid drama, protect our energy, and grow as individuals.
And most importantly, it helps us live freely without worrying about others' opinions.
That's a powerful message.
It really is.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope this conversation helped you see silence in a new way.
Remember, you don't always need to explain yourself.
Stay calm, stay focused, and keep improving.
See you next time.
On the Mr. Duo podcast.